All right, the Mighty Crusaders is a superhero team that has been published by Archie Comics for many, many years and even licensed out to DC Comics on two different occasions over the years. They've been published on and off under different subheadings from Archie Comics, like Mighty Comics, and then in the 80s it was Red Circle Comics. We'll get to those in a little bit, but I wanted to start off by this. This is the first issue of the Mighty Crusaders. But they didn't really even start here. They started as a spin-off of a book called Flyman, which was a I'm going way back, guys, which was a spin-off of The Fly, which was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby for Archie Comics in the mid-50s. And the comic book superhero comic book market had taken off again, with DC Comics bringing back the Flash and Green Lantern and updating them, and then the arrival of Marvel, the Marvel age of comics, with the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and Thor and Iron Man and Captain America and all of those characters that we've now come to love. Well, they weren't the only ones in the superhero game. Archie Comics decided that they would jump in on it too, and they had a different kind of spin on their superheroes, and we're going to be talking about it here. Again, I want to start with this because this is the earliest, I think it's the earliest Archie superhero comic that I have. It's called The Adventures of the Jaguar. This was given to me by a good friend of mine named Scott Stewart. Thanks, Scott, for sending this to me. The Jaguar was a character that was created. He wasn't part of the golden age of superheroes. He was created during this time. This comic came out in 1963. That was 2 years before I was born. Why am I showing this comic? Because he wasn't even really part of the original Mighty Crusaders, but there was something in here. This is artwork done by Joe Rosenberger, a completely competent artist, but it wasn't very he looks like he would be a fantastic, like, romance comic artist, kind of pedestrian in the superhero realm of dynamic action, but he was an incredibly good artist. Now, the thing about Jaguar was he had this special belt that gave him, the Jaguar belt, that gave him powers, and he could fly, and he could do all kind of, like, it had animal powers. But whenever he would transform, and there's a scene in here where he's transforming, yeah, here it is, he's transforming from the Jaguar back into his civilian identity, and I completely don't remember his civilian identity. I can't remember it. But anyway, Ralph Hardy, there he is. He's saying it. He's saying it right here. So he's turning back into Ralph Hardy. But if you notice, the Jaguar doesn't have a mustache. But when he changes into Ralph Hardy, boom, he looks like Tony Stark. he's got a mustache. So that was kind of a, you know, everybody always wonders how nobody. The mustache stands in for Clark Kent's glasses when he turns into Superman. You know, nobody seems to know the difference between Superman and Clark Kent. Well, it works doubly for the Jaguar here. All right, this is what I wanted to show you. This is the letters page for the Jaguar, called the Jaguar's Lair, and in it, this is 1963. Remember, and it was around the same time that the Marvel stuff, I guess, was starting to go into full swing. Dear Editor, if you haven't received any requests to continue the Fly Girl, the Jaguar, and the Black Hood into a comic group, you can consider this a request for just that. I just can see what a great comic this would be, and would hope that you will do something about it. I would also like to know who is the artist of the Fly and the Jaguar. Well, that's about it for now. I hope to see a group comic soon. Jerry Johnson, Superior, Wisconsin. I don't know if that was a real person or if that was Jerry Siegel that wrote that, because the co-creator of Superman, because he's the guy that wrote the not only the Fly but the pretty much all of the Mighty Comics comic work, especially the Mighty Crusaders, and it says here in response, we've had a lot of similar requests for a group comic, Jerry, as you will note below. As for the Fly and Jaguar artist, we agree that he is tops. His name is John Rosenberger. All right, and so this is a picture called the Anti-Crime Squad, and I think this is the very first origin of what would later become the Mighty Crusaders, and it started in this issue of the Jaguar. So little bit of history there, and if I'm wrong with that, please correct me. I don't think I am though. And let's go into it. The Mighty Crusaders. This is issue number 1, and they spun off from the Shield, not the Shield, the Fly. Let me see if I can find where they first appeared. Yeah, they first appeared in Flyman. I don't know the number because this is just it doesn't have the cover. This is just a reproduction of the first page. But anyway, it's where the Shield, the Comet, in his rainbow helmet. This isn't even how he first appeared in the Golden Age, but this is what he turned into. And then the Black Hood is up here, and then Flyman and Flygirl are in it, and this is how they first formed the Mighty Crusaders. And yes, it was goofy as all get out. It was around the height. No, it came out before. I think it came out before the Batman Adam West TV show, but it had that same campy feel to it, and I just literally love it. A lot of people have said how clunky and quirky it was, and that they didn't like it because the Avengers and the Fantastic Four was so much better. I'm like, well, in a way they were, but this was, it's almost, to me, it's like you're comparing apples and oranges. I just really love this. I love this. I laughed out loud more reading this trade paperback, and I think you could probably still get this. I don't know if it's on the Archie website, or I know you could probably find it easy on eBay or some of the other mycomicshop.com or places like that, and probably fairly cheap. But it's got, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of their original stories in here. And I think this issue here is, in fact, I know it is, this issue here is reprinted in there, but kind of wanted to show you what they look like. This came out in 1965. This was the year that I was born. And I remember drawing all of these guys for an MLJ Who's Who comic that came out. That guy right there, the brown guy in the middle, his name is Thornaldo. I always thought that name was funny, and just the goofy situations that they get themselves in is just ridiculous. And this shows you how old it is. It's got a Rocky and Bullwinkle Cheerios ad in it. And then there's a Mudman. I can't remember what his name is. There's a Mudman, a Lightning Man. There's all kind of like natural forces kind of characters here. Very cool stuff. And it was drawn by a guy named Paul Reinman, who kind of clunky his stuff is, but I like it a lot. He did work at Marvel as the inker, as an inker for Jack Kirby, for a lot of his early Marvel stuff. There's another guy. For some reason, they like their superheroes with mustaches. There's the Comet with a mustache, and this dude here is called the Brain Emperor. I've drawn him many times, just fairly recently. And then this is like the origin of the Shield. And I don't even think that this is the original Shield from the 1940s. This was his son, I think, or maybe his brother. I can't remember. But it's just really fun stuff. And then I'll show you some more of these. This is issue number 2. No, this is issue number 3. I believe Evil Lurks Among Us. I just read this one not too long ago. I got these from mycomicshop.com fairly recently and fairly cheap. I got them for like $2.50 to $3 each, and that might, well, they cost so less because they're probably not worth anything. That's what a lot of people probably would say. But to me, I love going to comic book stores and raiding the dollar bins, because there's always really cool stuff in there. And I'm not really into a lot of the stuff that everybody else is into. I never have been. That's just not my thing. I like to discover things that are new and kind of offbeat and fun, you know. And this definitely fits the bill. And so this is Too Many Superheroes, and so this, and I love they got a like Marvel has the corner boxes, they had their own corner box called Mighty Comics Group, which had all the characters in it. But in here, I think there's a recruitment going on for the Mighty Crusaders. But what winds up is an all-out brawl between all of them, and I think they used every Golden Age MLJ superhero. When I say MLJ, I'm talking about the company that was Archie before it was called Archie. And back in the 1940s, they published superhero comics pretty much exclusively until Archie. Yeah, these are kind of falling apart, but it doesn't matter to me. I still read them. Still love them. Till Archie showed up in 1940 something, 4, something like that, and it wasn't long before he became so popular that he took over all of the superhero titles and had the company change their name because of the popularity of one character. I don't know if that's ever happened before or since in any comic book company, but I always like this guy. His name's Firefly, I think, and he was always a lot of yeah, I just like the way his look. Steel Sterling is in here. Mr. Justice, they're literally coming out of the woodwork. Here's the Hangman, a character that I really like. This is the Comet's brother, but they don't make a mention of that in here. He's a villain in this one. They completely changed up his whole idea. There's Captain Flag, I think, and he's got an American Eagle called Yank, and he was the one I had the most fun with when I was drawing his some 5-pagers for the Archie Digest not too long ago, just a couple of years back. Yeah, there's the letters pages, and where you got all of these letters from different people, and again, sometimes these letters are actual letters from people. Sometimes it's the editorial staff filling out. If they don't have enough letters, they would write them themselves. They would be critiquing their own work. And this is the Wizard, who was a character from the Golden Age, but he was a superhero back then. They turned him into a villain here. So just fun stuff. Totally wacky, but that's what comics are supposed to be, right? This is the Wizard from the Golden Age coming into this 1965 to help defeat himself. Meta before Meta was a thing. And then we've got this like Bob Dylan folk singer guy that's telling the whole story. This is crazy stuff, man. But I love it. I love it. So. Mighty Crusaders, number 4, Too Many Superheroes. And then here's number 6, In the Toils of the Maestro, The Mighty Crusaders, Blackest Day. 2 big features. All right, and then after the Mighty Crusaders ended, they still continued on with the with the numbering and everything. Well, no, this is the numbering of something else. Must have been the Fly. Must have been the Fly Man. Yeah. And they turned it into like a double feature type of thing. Mighty Comics presents The Shield and the Web. This one, I know why this one was cheap. I think I got this one for like $1 because it had been, somebody cut out something on the inside front cover, ordered something, ordered X-ray specs or something like that. But I love the layout of these covers. I love that black and all the lettering on there, and I just love covers that here's one that you can see the whole thing. You got Onomatopoeia on the cover by Dick, Vic, Bob, and Paul. I know some of those guys. I know who Vic is. He was Victor Gorelick, who was my editor whenever I was doing that Betty and Veronica New Look stuff. Bob and Paul. You know, I'm gonna have to. Paul Reinman is the artist. Bob is. I can't think. I'll have to think about who Bob and Dick are, but I'll figure it out and maybe leave it in the comments in this video. So this is the Black Hood fighting somebody matches his power against the Mad Gadgeteer, and then here's Steel Sterling down here fighting a bunch of monsters that look like they came out of Space Ghost or something. It would have been that time period. The Black Hood, Man of Mystery. And here's another Black Hood. This is issue 44, and this is issue 47. So I think they alternated who was starring in the books back then. So we got the Black Hood here fighting the nightmarish Return of the Skull, and then here we got Mr. Justice who was like a ghost super, kind of like the Spectre at DC. From the darkest and most mysterious reaches of time and space unfolds one of the strangest and most unbelievable fighters of crime, Mr. Justice. So I guess this was his kind of sort of debut in his own story in this era of the Mighty Crusaders, or of Archie Comics. And then here's the Shield coming back again. This is issue 48. Is the Shield any match against an awesome foe created to destroy him? Beware the... he's called the Amoeba Man. Okay. All right. Well, I got to read that to find out what that's all about. And then the Hangman meets the Phantom of the Penitentiary. Now, I don't know, is Hangman in jail and he's fighting another person in jail because he's a villain in this time period, or did they turn him hero again? I don't know. I'll have to find out. But he's fighting this, I don't know, it looks like Bigfoot with a metal, like Man in the Iron mask on. Crazy stuff. And then the last one that I have from this era is the Black, another one. It's issue number 50, the Black Hood, and also has the Web versus Inferno, the Fire Breather. Again, another good guy, but they turned him into a bad guy here. So they were just swapping back and forth. I like that. Bonk. He kicked him off of his motorcycle with like a mule kick or whatever, and it goes bonk. That's pretty cool for a cover. And then back when comics were 12 cents, right there. That was a little bit before my time, but not much. Wanted to go from there to here, which is the all new Adventures of the Mighty Crusaders. I remember when this came out. It came out back when comics were going into the directly into comic shops, what they call that, direct distribution or whatever. And this was done by Rich Buckler. He came on board. He was a guy that I had followed, created Deathlock at Marvel, or co-created Deathlock at Marvel. Worked on Black Panther, and most memorably for me, he worked on a long run of the Fantastic Four. And he was a mimic. He could draw in pretty much any style. He could draw like Neil Adams. He could draw like Jack Kirby. He could draw like himself. You know, he just did pretty much everything that he did, no matter what style he was working in. I liked it because he was that good and that solid. He's kind of pulling out his Neil Adams face here. That kind of looks like a Green Lantern Neil Adams pose there that he's putting on. This is the second Shield. What was his name? Private Strong. And so you can see that this is really high quality stuff here, and a lot more serious than the Mighty Comics. This was put out under the Red Circle line, which was still Archie Comics, but they had their own Red Circle line to differentiate themselves from the slapstick humor of Archie. So this is pretty much how the whole run looked, and I think it did pretty well to start with. Look at that. That's a really cool double page spread right in the middle, and there's the title, and that's like right in the middle of the comic. So it was playing around with the format a little bit, and I liked it. I liked what they were doing. There's the Web. He's one of my favorite guys. I always wondered how, because he's got a web, his like cape or whatever you would call it, is like packing, like a net. It's like a net, and I'm like, man, don't you get that snagged on things? Now there's the Jaguar. He finally showed up as a member of the Mighty Crusaders. They again changed a lot to accommodate the times. And then these are cool because they're like one-page vignettes of the origins of the characters. So you got the Shield, the Comet, the Web, Black Hood, Jaguar, and this is just really, really cool stuff. The Fly, and this is the second Shield, Captain Lancelot Strong, the Shield. And so anyway, that was the first issue. A lot of really cool stuff going on in there. Second issue has I think this is it's a double page spread of all of their characters fighting each other, because, you know, why not? So let's just throw them all into the bin. Are they being mind controlled? I don't know. Probably. That's a trope or maybe it's like this was Civil War before Civil War became popular. This came out in 1983, I think. 1983, yeah, yep. That was right at the beginning of the independent market and the rise of the direct distribution. Here he is again. He's back to being a bad guy, and then the big shot of the shield here. A lot of fun stuff. I need to go back and reread these. Were they as good as Marvel? Probably not. I don't know. It depends upon what you're looking for. If you're wanting a fun, cool, action-packed superhero story, but are kind of tired of what's going on at the big two, this would be a perfect thing for you to check out. I think I liked it a lot, and they started using like, this is a great Filipino artist called Rudy Nebres that did this. They did this back cover, and I know Tony. I can tell it just by looking at it. This is Tony De Zuniga doing this work, or at least doing the inks. And he was one of the first of the Filipino artists to come over to the United States in the '70s and make his mark. And what a mark he made! And this is just full of more just craziness. But you can tell, between here, it's still Red Circle Comics Group. Between issue 5 and issue 8, I don't have 6 or 7, but something happened. It went to Archie Adventure Series and pretty much stayed there for the rest of its time. It only lasted for maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 issues, something like that. And I don't have a lot of those are the later ones are kind of hard to find, because I think the sales had dropped down to a point where they printed less, and so they're a little bit more scarce than the others. Cut to the 90s, and there was a cartoon show called Archie's Weird Mysteries, kind of like Scooby-Doo, but featuring the Archie gang, and they had their own comic series. And in 2 of these, the Mighty Crusaders appeared, and I think I got something in here, because I remember back in the late 90s, I was doing, yeah, this is me. This was a, what do they call those things? Public PSA, public service announcement, and it basically is talking about the origin of the who is this? Steel Sterling, and it says, "Do you know your local heroes? Ask your parent or guardian to help you memorize important emergency phone numbers." Basically, police, first responders, that type of thing. But this is, yeah, this was. I really like this. This was drawn by Fernando Ruiz, really awesome Archie artist, but he's drawing the Mighty Crusaders in the Archie style, which I completely love. And here's another one where they're doing the same thing, except on this one they bring in Pure Heart and Super Team, all the Archie superheroes. Archie and the gang as superheroes, I guess I should say. And there's that same, I did a bunch of these. I did one on the Comet and one on the Captain Flag and several others, and several other artists did these as well. But for whatever reason, they ran this one twice. Anyway, that was in the 90s that came out. But there's been many others that have come since then. I know that, and this one's all I had left it out one night and it got water damaged, but it's still readable. But this book called The New Crusaders, which is basically the sons and the daughters of all of the original Mighty Crusaders, was put out. This is a trade paperback. I think I got this at Ollie's, and they brought back Red Circle for it as well. But this was done by a good friend of mine. Ian Flynn was a writer, and I think a guy named Ben Bates, who was a Sonic artist at the time, really good artist, did the artwork on this. This is a really good story, you guys. This is one of my favorite modern superhero stories to ever read. And it went, this is kind of sort of like a sequel to this, but not really. It's its own thing, but it's still in that same continuity. It's those same characters, but aged a few years, and again, this was written by Ian Flynn, and the artwork was by that Kelsey Shannon, who I've never met, but I really like his like his work a lot, and he does just a great job here. But I think this was the last time they did anything with the Mighty Crusaders, except for one time when Rob Liefeld did like one issue of the Shield, and that was kind of sort of like the Mighty Crusaders. They were all in it, but it was focusing more on the Shield than anything else. They still do every now and then. They'll do superhero stuff, but not many times you're going to find them doing. Archie's niche is like the slapstick humor of Archie and the gang, but every now and then that you'll find something like this. This is something that I really enjoyed a lot. It's The Fox by Dean Haspiel, and he got Mark Waid to write it or to put the dialogue in. I think it was Dean's story that he was telling, but this is really good. It got the Shield in it, a bunch of other characters from the catalog of the Mighty Crusaders and MLJ Archie. One more thing I want to show you, and it's this. If you want to know anything else that I haven't told you about this is the book that you need to get. It's written by my good friend Rick Offenberger and several other guys who compiled literally an entire history of Mighty Crusaders and basically MLJ again, which was Archie before Archie became Archie. And it's got some reprints of the Golden Age stories. I think it might have the first appearance of, well, not the Black Hood, but the Shield in there somewhere. But anyway, this is a really good book to look up. It was put out by Tomorrow's that does the Jack Kirby Collector and a lot of other really great stuff. So I highly recommend this. This about concludes my my video for the day. I hope you liked it. I'm going to be doing a Mighty Crusaders panel. Lily and I are about to fly out to San Diego Comic-Con. I got invited to be a special guest this year. This is I was not expecting it. It was out of left field for me, but I accepted it, and we're going to go and hopefully have a good time. I think we will. And doing this panel, I'll basically this whole video has been like foreshadowing what we'll be talking about in the panel. So if you happen to be in San Diego, I think it's on Saturday. I don't know the time, but it's this coming Saturday, and it's me and the guy that wrote this, Rick Offenberger, that wrote this, and several other guys, and we're all going to be talking about what I just was talking about you here, the Mighty Crusaders. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I hope to be talking to you soon. Look for some new content coming up. Let me know what you think. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.